n'umukuru nogamba yetu ati no basagamba n'umukuru konko yenshonga mwene kumungira ngo nkazo mukarura kunagire mu naraba in hell nkaraba okuzimu kwenyine gehena hata chopona na yachurira yakigamba no atachigamba kubi konka yakigamba okumungira ngo nitwenda karuru kalije it is okay, that one is okay, no kuba open okagamba kiriho na no kugira ati nitwenda ngo ojukeyo eherizo butegetsi obwebembezi omubuteka omuhatari mukushesheka shagama ebintu bigambi bogambira abakwade in opposition side leka turebe honorable Mau Dr. Echari kugamba,
Chairman of the IPOD Summit and also President of the Republic of Uganda. I wish to recognize the Right Honorable Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda, the Right Honorable Anita Annette Among, who is here in her capacity as the National Vice Chairperson of the National Resistance Movement. We are still getting used to that. My colleagues, the presidents of the member political parties of IPOD, Mr. President, I cannot fail to wish you a belated happy birthday. The years that you have lived, as you keep reminding us, has given you a granary of experience and wisdom. As we gather today, we remember the last meeting we had here in 2021. At that time, Mr. President, I reached out to you through the then Secretary General of the NRM to talk about the detained activists of the NUP and some of the other political parties. You then agreed to host a meeting of the summit. And in that summit, we appealed to you to draw a line between the misled and the misleaders. They could not be treated the same. And you agreed with us that the misled should be pardoned. And you immediately ordered the release of close to 70 of those who had been detained. We thank you for that. Sometimes these little gestures are not appreciated, but it is in a forum like this that we talk about these things. Secondly, the day that the Democratic Party and the National Resistance Movement signed the cooperation agreement, I told you that while I had joined the government you formed and which you lead, I had entered, but I had left the door open. I had not locked it behind me. I told you that there are many patriots in all political organizations, and as the head of the family we call Uganda, it is your duty to look for them. There is no need for us to think that there are no good people in all the organizations that exist in Uganda. They are all patriots. Indeed, when you walked in and you looked at my nephew, Honorable Amoriat, you remarked, "Are these the enemies?" Then I said, "No, sir, these are patriots." Indeed, the people in Kololo today are patriots, and this gathering will give Ugandans hope that somewhere there are people who are seated around you, Mr. President, to talk about Uganda and its future. Finally, we cannot have a country where there is no consensus about anything. We may disagree on some things, but we must find common ground. IPOD is about finding common ground because the unity of Uganda is paramount. In my younger days, in 1986, as a teenager, I listened to one of your speeches, Mr. President, and you described some categories of people using a Runyankore word. If I remember correctly, you called them Ronjera Maganya. The Ronjera Maganyas, in your own words, you said, are those who seem to be delighted in increasing problems, even though there are already enough problems. Mr. President, the Ronjera Maganyas are the 20%, based on the principle of 2080. This is a business principle, that 20% of your effort will give you 80% of the results. So the Ronjera Maganyas also are the 20% who give us 80% of the problems we have. But we can also have 20% who give us 80% of the solutions. I don't know what the opposite of Ronjera Maganyas is. Today you should tell us.
Thank you. If you can try to summarize.
The gathering which is here. I'm delighted that the iPod Summit members are the 20% who want to offer at least 80% of the solution. So today, as I, on behalf of DP, take the leadership of iPod, I want to announce that we shall leave the door of iPod open. We are taking over the leadership of the institutions of iPod at a difficult time. Our agenda will be to ensure that we have a peaceful election, a free and fair process, and that we shall continue to talk honestly about the problems we face, that we shall attack the problems that face Uganda rather than attacking each other.
Mwami Robert Mao wa Constitutional Affairs ariyo nashoboraje ahanshonga stars zimwe na zimwe no mukago gwa iPod agwahikana President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni tubahabura president wihanga rito rya Uganda nkuka yashoboraje mwami Clever yajangu 20% zebisubwe bingi no shanga mwe byaretwa abandi ninga nabo solution babasa kuba nabo bataho ngukuba kubasa yes mbagitaho ninga abandi biyaho inabu yanarengezaho tanacho manyaho
of course abu yanarengeza nabatari mu iPod abatayija kugira ngo bakitahemu konka amazima gari ngo okuyashoborora yayira kugira ngo abo bakine kwataniza bine kwataniza kugira ngo yasiga akasiga rugije rwigwire kandi na hatijuka niho bahire ecumuruzo niho bahire ntebeje eyumukuru bwihanga arugiremo konka omukukore bibyona hari yababene bagira ngo opposition araba opposition ngo kuri kureba iPod eri mu opposition parties hari yabariyo konka batari opposition akurugirira hari Robert Kyagulanyi owa National Unity Platform netuza kumutunga ahamuheru twamara kumara yo bono kubagambire twine bintu bingi okare katuremo kubaraga ecyango muno cyo kugira eci nihamo no kugira ngo iPod weno barabe yaba chairperson obwabire chairperson ndijo myaka 5 asijyo rwigwiri naje zo kwereka ngo nayendana naba political parties zitakize
wani yaba ikintu ikirizana nawe yabanza yagira ngo kumibera nagumo baba bari mu iPod akabasa kubana rwana munonga kugira ngo babase kubana bari kura abanubu enkumibera nagumwe konkati yabasa kubana argayo nabuza president yatungira kagisha akambuza ikiryo nkigendo misho byahikakura abantu
abari muri
abducted abantu nyamwinji bariyo no yatungire that chance kandi uko kuyarwanira hatari inko barikiremu kandi
no shangu bikaterera no shangu bikaterera
ukose bikaterera kwihana akora endagano n'ekibine cyarwanyisereza
konka kora enkubi 2021 kwara yashabira president bakikizana kugira ngo the misled babarebe babahure hari misleaders abari kwebembera bakahabisaba babahure eco bacha babahura
babahure mu bakubebembera bakabatwara harundu
now reka turakore reka tumane turebe oku Robert Kyagulanyi ebyagambire aha kigambo cha opposition opposers abari kuba opposed abari ko-opposinga ba political parties ziko-opposinga government bo abesire ngo niki.
Make it clear. And he said this group is coming together to deny Ugandans a chance at change. Of course, it's a joke. These are Museveni's enablers. And he has shone a light on them. I said to them, we don't fear you. I said to Museveni, we are going to defeat you again like we did in 2021. But this time around, we are rallying Ugandans to take their win, not to just lay low and be walked over. To Museveni stooges, we see you, we know you, and we shall expose you and make people understand who you really are. And I also want to tell these people that are being used, it's so unfortunate that these people don't learn from history. These are people that we thought are learned. These are people that we thought are informed. But like they tell us, history does not repeat itself. Only fools repeat history. It's very, very unfortunate to see a once knowledgeable person like the Honorable Norbert Mao turning himself into the new Kakoza Mutale now, the new spokesperson of terror, of intimidation. We saw him coming out to say, no, the future of Ugandans is not going to be determined by election. That means the future of Ugandans is not going to be determined by Ugandans. This is the president of the so-called Democratic Party undermining democracy and saying democracy has no role in the future of Uganda. I saw him saying, this is going to be a silent election. You're joking, my brother. We shall speak, we shall shout, we shall scream. Yes, he said he's going to silence us. I want to tell you, Norbert Mao, personally, I will only be silent in my grave. In life, I'll be a pain to all of you. And in death, I'll be a terror to all of you. And so will all Ugandans be. We are going to get our freedom, or we shall die trying to get our freedom. And even if we die, we shall face you through our posterity. Because we did not start this. This started long before us. This will go on long after us. You cannot silence people that have nothing to lose. There's nothing for us to lose apart from the chains that you put. So we are coming for your boss Museveni, and we are coming for you too. Let that be very, very clear. To our comrades, the genuine freedom fighters will stand with you even if you're not in NUP, but we are going to see you by your actions.
You cannot silence someone at nature crossing.
By the way, nanye.
No much kumanyisa.
Tinkumanya kandi anyway, yajirangu they are going to defeat NRM like the way they defeated it 2021. But then who is who? Anyway, nyoni ndeba honorable aina obusungu hati na nokustama hati nikirebeka aba bastama mu iPod n'abantu bari kubasa kuba nibefuga nibe controlling n'intekateka hati aina obusungu aza kandi wowe n'obusungu no basa butastama n'omuntu rukusheka no basa butastama n'omuntu nawe uri kureba imbere akagitwara nko kweli hati oguwe okurujo kwa rugamba no batima unagira ngo of course hariho binje bitakubaretera ahabwe shonga yakiri we nagira ngo Uganda eri mu buteka kandi neja kurara yagira kuza mu ruvuyo urwona
nzagira karuru kihorere akurobat cyagoranya kuyana mu byakubasi
takubasa ku silencing
kandi akarga yakagira ati itutwine cyo kandi mwe natera mu toki nareba ngari y'amazima ko waza kureba ikibini cya national unity platform ku kiro bwingi nushanga bari abantu abatine kibakuferwa bon bajya ngo bedo rutaro hine kibakuferwa hariho umuntu kangambire kureba wahine cyo kuferwa tukujya ngo wendo rutaro
neda abashiza bampara harimo nabakuba bakubine byo kuferwa konka ijuka cyo kigambe cyo yagamba kujya misleaders na misleaders abakuhabisibwa na nabari kuhabisa so hati washanga uri kuhabisibwa atakuwasa kucibara akabarabara mazima basta mabine bibakufera
ko Robert cyaguranye bebigambo kwabase kuba nikereza na iPod akaza yakabagambira president live
nanye cyo nicyo ndikuba ni nyenda
no bani manyenda hine kina nayenda kureta aho nkati kikwikirizo bwaho akantu akanga ate akagenda kazahanga hari akabona kugambiraho konka yari yaha tine cyakora
actually rega ngambire amazima nabari kutureba ebigambe bibo ryo mu iPod you are entitled to speak
abwencha takozi see that chance akarga yakagambira president ebikuruma abanya-Uganda akarga yakagambira icyamba abantu ekiryo mu yihanga
n'abantu beyebona patwire actually this one was just the best of the best chances he has ever got kugira ngo nabasa kwemerera agira ati nyowe actually ntayamara kubigamba ashohore ekigira ki ashobore bamuterere ngaro yes naba yata ebigambo aho bishimye kuba nibiza henyine aha best abana niko bakucira kugira so echo kugira ngo hata ebigambe mweno ebigambe bebe yagamba I don't have a problem
katutegereze presidential debate baba bayambere bakarabaho kuba na yana basa kugiza mu ko tukareba ho nyimaho neza ubu habaho kenye kumibere na mukaga twarebereye BSJ amambabazi na wafi omugenzi akari ohaho general so bakabari tukareba president
bacarya
yes
morini cyarya bariho biraro bakabariho hariho gumushira wito wabushe wibanda
professor bari umunsi
tuzonte bari umunsi bisyo nza kubamanya baryamureba professor baryamureba now hati tinkuhamya tinkaureba kukigambaho ngabe ni nyenda nkebi honorable Robert Cyaguranye okanyambo kabigambira umisho gamuze yakabihurira obundi bimwe nabasa kwata kubimanya ninga bakumhereza report anyway nibyinji twatwenzere kwereka kugira ngo no barabe nagira ngo no Patimari kugira ngo birije konkari habasigazi nempangare n'abakazi n'abashija abo bitari bije wow reka turebe ebi Asmani basarurwa wa Jema ebyagambiri
president wa Jema kandore MP
wenka niwe president niwe MP kandi we naraganisa kugira ngo neija kugira ki okuguma ariyo mu nshonga ya iPod ahabo kuba nibo bagitandikire yes tuwe basarirwa
my colleague chairperson of iPod Summit and president of Uganda, my colleagues, fellow party leaders, the Right Honorable Speaker, the Parliament of Uganda, Anita Annette Among Magogo, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Jema Party is one of the founder members of iPod. In fact, if I recall, we were in this same place here in Kololo when we signed the first iPod instruments. I am here to assure everybody that Jema is still committed to iPod and Jema will remain an active participant of iPod. We believe that the challenges afflicting this nation can be comprehensively addressed through dialogue, through discussion, through consensus. And that is what we believe in as a party, and those are the values we bring to iPod. We want an iPod, Sir Chairman, that is inclusive, and we should ensure and find all ways to make this iPod process inclusive and have ways of bringing everybody under the umbrella of iPod for the good of this country. Mr. President, the last time I addressed an iPod meeting was in 2018 in Munyonyo. And I did emphasize the idea of rule of law, constitutionalism, democracy, and good governance. I am glad that my colleagues have highlighted some of them. One of the challenges, Mr. President,
As you conclude,
as I conclude, one of the challenges we are facing as a country is increasing episodes of impunity in some spheres of life. Inexplicable arrests, inexplicable detentions, people being on remand for years. And Mr. President, you remember that time, I gave you an example of many Muslim sheikhs, Sheikh Wanjala, Sheikh Wasigu, who have been on remand for now 15 years. They cannot receive justice. But that's just one example. There are really many others. And we agreed that you cannot have a criminal justice system where people are arrested and investigations come later. It's a mockery of justice. So I want us as IPOD, Mr. President, to begin discussing and squarely engaging those ideas for the good of our country.
Icyo nicyo kinanindondera mu bantu
Ibyo
opposition
ntitwenda.
batunga chance babona umukama aho bamuramiza aho mushanga naho muramiza bamushangaho nibyo buze bashemye kubuza president.
Then turebe we yaza kugamba ki yaza kora kihugu umwaka gundi emyaka ebira
Na accountability cyangwa kuba bambuza umwaka gwahwire 2016 tukija twagambe ibintu nebe ba Sheikh sababire mbananka konka bigarikire mu nibyo biro abantu mbakomwa nankija bwanyu mu kucondoza kwija bwanyu
mokaro of justice
no mayo no wa justice for all
kandi ekirungi n'umunyabiragiro.
Yes.
So nyoni ngira ngo eji kuri kubona umuntu oga nambwe n'umunsasira bakunyeta mu meetings niho kundi kwikamo ngamba abo kuba ni hundi kuba nabona platform
ona wabonera kaje
omugambiro gamba kugira ngo kintu kigire okucyashoboroka bumwe ni ibintu nibani bikorwa umuntu atakubimanya wakireba. So this is wagamba je mushija we kankuterere n'ingaro konko no kugira ngo tingutera kabo
bono mbagamba mazima no yabasa kuba nargaye nahishonga erikuruma abanyigana ninga we etwire musasize twine wa UPC akena ori kugira ngo ensigo eyiba kutamburiraho n'ubuzima na UPC NRB ya kutamburiraho.
Your Excellency President Yoweri Museveni, Chair of the IPOD Summit, my fellow presidents, and I think I've just noticed His Excellency seems to be the odd man out up here, because everybody here seems to be a son of a congressman. As UPC, the seeds we have sown are part of what has germinated here. But as Ugandans, we're heading into an election season. And I, as a congressman who believes in the dream of Uganda, I remain committed to Uganda. I would try to do everything in my power that we can emerge stronger, more united, even if we go through a difficult election process. That is a commitment which Uganda People's Congress has had towards dialogue. We will always seek to pursue the dialogue option in order to overcome the difficulties, and difficulties will be there. There are areas where we don't agree on policy, but the greater good should be what should bring us together and seek to create a Uganda which will work for all its citizens today, tomorrow, and in the future. And therefore, I am here to demonstrate our commitment towards that better Uganda. We are not going to shirk from the responsibility. Whatever difficulties come, we are prepared and ready, willing to address them as best we can. And hence, on the dialogue platform, I hope through my colleagues and through you, Your Excellency, we have demonstrated our commitment to this dream. And we shall continue on this dream. But I wish to use this opportunity to highlight some areas where we may not agree with one another. And that I'm going to take my final minute here to give a statement of where I stand concerning the teacher strike on UNATO. I, as a congressman, remain committed to quality education for the people or the children of Uganda. But I don't agree in the separation of scientists and art teachers. I have had great art teachers who have built me up, who have encouraged, and I believe that these teachers are playing an important role in developing the next generation of Uganda.
Nyowe mwenu tinkumanya obundi ninkunda kukora urwari aho ushimiye kuba nirugira ki nirwetagira yahindana ikintu kugira ngo takureba ngo hashimire kuba separation of muri ba teachers ngo shange wazamo ku separate aba arts aba sciences ya kigambo yashwa yagamba kugira ngo nibo embibe bari kunankeje
iba bibere
UPC
shahi gitamya aho
congress ladies congress niwe yagira ati ninde actually waza kwetegereza ukugira ngo ninde bahateba aha iteba ndamuzeyi niwe myaka ya agenda na wanogambira umuntu takabura kucyetegereza kugira ngo hatari muranyeka ngo kuzire mwe nugire ki ndugeho toko orugambira mukuru ngo kwa kigambire nokoreso bundi bwenge konga cyenge ngo wagamba point yawe
of course bargayo byo muyana irgayo nahereza ukushasha kwe kwa yose rinashasha konka bingi bamba bisigayo bamba bisinze na kuko nanagambire ndaba tubabasize kubana bargayo no bagambe shunga izukuruma abanya-Uganda ne barabase kuba bakora babagira mu president abo kuba kandi ko kire ko kucyarenginga nahababire binakire ko kurgayo bakacyarenginga president agatu wamhura wa UPC akena najya hati mazimanyoti inkwikiriza mu separatinga aba science amwe na abashomesa ba science amwe n'aba arts konkeje tiyo yari shonga yamani shonge zazuru kurisho zazuru ho muyange ya Uganda zuri hoze byameza because nayo ne shonga yamani
abashomesa bari muri class babanjire
shahije nayo ne shonga konka yaneza kwijanke ya kabira cyamba kuyo norebe icyo cyangwa umunonga kucirare kiriye
konka shimwe na amriyati naho kayagama point bantumwe eyo kugira ngo nkazo mu karuruke 2021 nakamara ndakajwara genkito nkarabo mu gehena yenyine bana nojangu okugira ngo niwe shimwe kuturebesa akaruruka kugira ngo katerera noja naho tiyaheza enshonga konka enshonga zote zikawa yo mu government ya Uganda mu ihangari ya Uganda enshonga zikanyiri
konka ipod ne yambaci aba bantu abarukuzaho cyaguranye yarga yakajya ngo tine karungi kona ko kurugamo nabatashyire yes
nyoti kugira ngo natayicire mweshika twareba ngo 2020 kaganira mawo yaganira na president twareba hina babiri ne bashohora tukarahina bakushohora nyonka bene ngira ngo at least nitubasa kugira ngo hatwagaruka gundi murundi tukagira ngo abantu nibongera kukwata nitubasa kurifaringa tukoresa reference nebe ya eyerizoba kugira ngo nojika tukugama president bakumugambira ngo ibintu nebi bishime kwani bikorwa ipolite ine kugira ki icyo kuyamba now nituzakorera muzeyi na wari munagamba konka hariho president ndijo nawagambe Onesimus mutuhereze
and chairman iPod, my fellow leaders, right honorable speaker of parliament, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Chairman, our party is anchored on four values. One is reconciliation, one is non-confrontational, one is non-violence, and the fourth one is dialogue. It is because of those core values that we are committed to dialogue as a party. I can testify to you that the time I have been in politics, now it is 30 years, I have not appeared at police for any reason. For any reason. Why? Because of that approach. Even in the last election, where we managed to take a member of parliament to parliament, there is no single member of People's Progressive Party who was arrested. Why?
because of that approach we are preaching to our members. And it is that we need to teach to the people of Uganda, that you can disagree. And this is what I always tell my fellow leaders in the party, that when you are addressing somebody, whether president, whether a president of another party, bear in mind that the person you are addressing, who you are criticizing, his wife refer to him as a husband. His children refer to him as a dad. Once you bear that in mind, then you will sieve your language to make sure that even when you have disagreed with me, or with the president, or with the speaker, you will not antagonize with that expanded family.
Thank you.
If we can adopt that, then this country shall be peaceful. Let me wind up. When we are in the summit meeting, Mr. President, you alluded to the cycle of our history. But I want to say this, that at one point in time, every time those who are in the opposition have worked in the same government at one point in time. And when they disagree with those in government, then they come in the opposition. Because they have served in the government, as they take credit for what went right during their time in that government, even when they disagree, they should take responsibility for what went wrong when they were serving in the same government.
Thank you.
It is the very reason why we need to dialogue, and nobody should give reason or point fingers to apportion all blames to one party, to one individual. We are all responsible for what has gone wrong.
Mr. Saddam Gayila ni wogwe kandi w'ekibina cha People's Progressive Party actually ni kiruga kuro wa Jaberi bidandasari.
Yes, no yakifomye
wa mweshongozi wogwe Sali Moses. Now yahendera na point eri kugira ngo aba bari ku byo opposition at one time they were in the government. Barugayo bakatanira kublaminga bashimire kubandi bakoresa cyangwa munongo mushaka kumara imyaka 20 atakazaga mu koti ninga atakazaga mu ha polisi ngo aze kwansaringa nicyo mahisa ngo naye tantara hine bya kugezo kandi yagamba point kugira ngo iwe buri kuba noreba uri kurema koherezo ndije kitinisi hari hori kumweta kwara ariyo mushije hari uri kumweta umwami kwara ariyo mukazi hari uri kumweta umukazi wanje hari uri kumweta mami hari uri kumweta daddy
mwentuhereza n'ikitine sa yagambe bigambo bingi niyashemeza kandi umuri bamwe ababasa kurugayo kugambaje ubwo mwami nawe yakuratara uriyo wajema nawe yabasa kuba mazima barigayo nibagambe shonga zikubasa kubanisirgayo nizitambira abanya-Uganda wani yagambe shonga yo kugira ngo embibo yo kubibo mbantu obucyayo bwo kubatamu nibyo byogene bakora abo kuba we yabasa kuba nargayo naba nagambira abebina bye kugira nabatamu umutumo murungi nabagambire bigambo birungi bitari byo kugenda bakaza street bakaza kwesharinga nkabine bindi so kandi bakora bona abo kureba bari ama street nibabukora abo kugira ngo oda yarga nkahi oruguru umwebembezi w'ikibina kananka nuwari kwehoreza aba bantu abo kuza gukora gukora mukuza street so iwe yanagira tumazima embibo yo kubasa kuba notamu abantu cyo kuba no bagambira iwe nkamwebembezi wabo nicyo kibagumiza mu bakakora we yamara imyaka 30 nanke yatahana gambe njiri nagamba iyo mwe iyo kwatanisa mukabona kuba n'umutwari hanga umisho
yabare munonga umushaci wito makuru aho Beni yabare kuguma notuheretera makuru nkaga kugira ngo kandi tonje kugahisa abantu bitu ekero kuba nokora nechamani so Saddam niko yagenda tugayira kandi niko twenda kutwendera na President Museveni ebi byone bakagambire byona we nabireba.
The Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, all the members of the delegations which are here, when I met the presidents quietly there, I just mentioned 2 points to them, or maybe 3 points. The first point is that I have been a close observer or a participant for the last 65 years as far as the politics of Uganda is concerned. I told them that I joined the DP in 1960. And I was a very active youth leader of DP. Then I joined the UPC for 5 months. In 1970, but by 1965, we had started forming study groups in the universities, which were the precursors of what is now NRM. Now, in all that time, my observations are 2. Number 1 is that politics must be like medicine. A political leader should be like a doctor. A doctor looking at patients. And this doctor will only help those patients if he makes a correct diagnosis of what the patients are suffering from. If he makes a wrong diagnosis and makes a wrong prescription, the patients will not get cured. They may even die. When it comes to society, it is the same process. You either identify the problems of the society correctly and apply correct answers, or you will not give them a solution. And that's why the NRM has identified the 4 principles which we keep talking about: patriotism, love Uganda. Why? Because you need it for your own good. Secondly, Pan-Africanism, love Africa. Why? Because you need it for your own good. I don't have time to go into the details, but we have explained this elsewhere. Thirdly, socio-economic transformation. We cannot go on with the pre-capitalist societies, traditional societies, and we think that we shall manage to survive in the future. And finally, democracy. We think with these 4, we shall succeed, and we have been able to move, as we have seen. In the last 40 years almost, the NRM has been able to revive the economy of Uganda, and although we have still problems, but we are much stronger than we had ever been before. So that's the number 1. Correct understanding of the society. But secondly, if you have a different understanding, at least don't be violent. Don't use violence. Don't use subversion. Like the members here were saying, yes, they have got their different points of view, but let them express them peacefully, and then we see whether we agree or disagree. Now, when you have got a right understanding and you act right, then things will move. The country will be peaceful. But even if you have got a wrong understanding, but you are not violent, you don't act wrongly, yes, you will make mistakes, but the country will remain stable, and in the future, those mistakes will be understood and corrected. Now, the disaster in Africa is that people have got wrong understanding, but also use wrong methods. They are wrong on all accounts. They don't understand correctly, and they act wrongly, using wrong tactics, violence, subversion, cheating. This is the crisis you get in these countries. This is why Uganda here was in chaos. I don't have time to go into all that. And IPOD is not a center for parties try to justify themselves. We shall have time for that. But it was about to close because of the wrong thinking of if we all don't get the same, nobody should get. Now, in Solot Flying School, we needed most pilots and engineers of the aircrafts. But they didn't have money to pay all of them well. So, the school was about to close. When I went there, I found out that a pilot in a private airline gets 25 million shillings. A pilot gets 25 million shillings. Now here in Soloti Flying School, they were trying to pay a pilot 1 million because that's what they could afford. And also pay the secretary, the typist, the same amount of money, pay the cleaner, pay what, wanting to pay everybody. Then I said about you people, the one we need most badly are pilots and engineers. The secretaries can be paid well later. If you have got money to pay all of them well, good. But if you don't have, what do you do? Should the flying school close? Because either we all get or nobody gets. That logic is not correct. We freedom fighters, we always prioritize. Kamukamugo echi, akwati mpola akorachi, bugubugusichi, a chair is what? One by one.
Achela chero monoporo.
Apoyo mate.
One by one makes a bundle.
Yes. So when I advised them, they agreed to pay the pilots well. And they are not very many because the pilots were few. And then the engineers. Now the other people, the cleaners, the what, those can come later. But now they are trying, we are all working in Solid Flying School, we must all get equal. Yes, but we need pilots more than the cleaners. So that now that we are repairing the economy, we need engineers on the roads. We need doctors, very badly. We need chemists.
abashomesa mugire mugarike mukome mu byanyu mugarike mu kirasi nosha ebirukuru bwa president tibirungi numbye huramazima kamwe nubwo muganda mwe numve mborekere
ninkunda kugira ngo aba bantu nabo bashashurwe niyo kuba nanyu ibo tuburi turya abantu mu turyange tutukwinganiza tutukwinganiza no stamina no tutukwinganiza konka okuyagamba prioritization ni kimataringa munonga.
Yes.
Kureka ahantu kugira nti wa prioritizinga kwisadyari ahabwenchi niryari interaho space interaho time ni kisadyari raganisa kandi ko randaganise utakahindura bako wangira ngo ni kamwe kamwe so kunde nakiriza najya nti tugiro tuti waza kugira uti ngire nti ye abakuruge 2018 abashomesa batwane bagira ki ni baraganiza kandi kine kiyagamba ecyo kugira ngo tutandike kimwe akwata mpora tukawala ecyo ndakikiri kugira ngo omuntu other areas matunga 25 million then kuriya nitubatunga 1 million
yes
Kirina na nakora yatungire sentence atunge 5 pilot tunge 1 million mazima pilot yana nabasa kuparking enyonyi asimuraho wano simura ngakirina konka pilot yo kugenda iwo wana asimura kugira uti no basobu taguruse nyonyeje so nicho nagamba konka cyangu munonga no kushaka kugira ngo nyowo murinye nishaka kugira ngo kore wandaganiza kugira ngo katutegereze turebe umwaka guwe kugura igwaho hagira ko wanderaho naningana n'umuntu omwaheraha yaje ati nanka nambaje sete nyinji ati ntikuruga ryari ati kuruga umwaka gwahwire ndati nomanya ubwo nanamanya ati muherezeho 15 ati ho ni 15 ati umuntu unyagira kumara mwaka guwire ntaka muhireho ndikashikuno jangu kamuhereza 15 nyimokwe hana ati kuzicereze sete zo kugamba at least kore wagira ati ninza kukongera otanyongere okuwana oteka hagire cyo wanteraho
yes izo nshonga zaziri nyingi si yaragamba wane cyo kubanza abashomesa mbatunga 4 million abona ba science abo yabase kubana argayo nayongeza kanzu wasa kureba umushara gw'aba arts mazima go gukirya hasi munonga wasa kugeregerana na million 25 za ba pilots nangwa nabandi so yagambe bishonga nyingi ziyabasa kubana argayo wane cya politics yarga yagira ati mazima wargayo kashanga mutine kwikirizana na utumwikirizana rgayo obase kubana umuzameza ninga shino yereka ubutamarwa bwawe ubutashemerwa bwawe peaceful konga kutariyo kwemba mwabantu muro okuzahigura mukacamuka munonga mukaraba umutawuni mukosye pira mukakora kingobo no yoreka butikirizana ninga shimwagira butikirizana mu politics ya cyamya munonga injya yanagaruka muri yo mwami wa PP ibigambo byagamba umuwe nayikirizana no mufutisa takwikirizana okubasa kuba nahembamo abantu muro kugira ngo babase kubana bagenda n'icyo kibarukwenda ningira ngo yero message ndungi munonga yanagarukamu abantu aba iPod bambarga yo bagamba nshonga zitare zimwe na zimwe tingma nshongeza zirukurusho nindeba nawe yabasa kubana argayo naziguruka ngecyamba abantu kiriyo nkigendo nisho ebe bintu binje munonga ati yabasa kubana argayo nabi
konka ningira ngo ire sakajya ngo yabiguruka you never know no manya utakukira kupakuka kugambira ebyo ku exciting abantu ina notinga agambe bye byanenda kugamba then ahurire aho noting aho muheru noje nyina masikongo nisa kureba impinduka
nabone wo kibine cya DP akarabamo nabone umweni njera ubambagamba ngwe shobesa abireho mu kibine cya DP na wakariyo nkuko abanda butukureba abarigiro mu kibina nke cyarwanyisira zanga Dr. Kano Kizabesije yayabasize kuba nargayo nayanga kutereza ekibine cya kicurumu akine amanu mu kibine cyarwanyisira kandi akakireka kikasisikara na washemeye kuba navunanwa kugira bamemo ba iPod ari yoho akigambe cyo
wagamba ki
goshemeye kuba notereza ikibina
no wa PP wa PP nanka umushijogwe Saddam so ningira ngo reka turebe bijeno yagamba jeno utafire kahinda ko karinda kusima bari aha YouTube abari aha YouTube yituza aha YouTube handiko mbarara Revival TV mbarara kandi abari aha WhatsApp mukutureberaho za status zitu mwebare okutuwatchinga nitubasima katurebe jeno eki yagamba
don't it's our job to repair you and whether you hurt us or don't it's your job to rehabilitate us. So, why do we have to get to that stage when we can stop it before it happens? Disagreement is not the problem. Making mistakes is not the problem. The problem is when you can't repair the damage you've done or to prevent the damage you're about to do. In my military training, they told me, my instructors told me, the greatest generals are those who win wars without shooting a bullet. Those who win wars without shooting a bullet. Talk of bullets. You see wars in the world. Have you ever heard of the phenomenon of the military-industrial complex? The phenomenon of military-industrial complex. Weapons are commodities, and they are made in factories, and those commodities have to be consumed. When they are not consumed, the factories close down and people get unemployed. So how do you consume weapons? How do you consume weapons? You create wars. They create wars, we buy their weapons, we kill each other, their industries go on, here we go back begging. Do we manufacture BM in Uganda? No, but we deploy it. Do we make tanks? I'm told Mujira is trying to make some in Ruweru, but we deploy them. Do we make aircrafts? No, we deploy them. So does Rwanda, so does Congo, so does Burundi. And we are consuming all these warcrafts from people who make them, and we pay for that equipment. Chiriowa. And we're paying Amin's debts for weapons he bought to kill us. Amin went and bought weapons, used them against us. And we, the survivors, are paying. So, Ghana, whatever you use against us or whatever we use against you, when we win, we shall pay. When you win, you will pay. So, the medicine is, let's not fight. Yeah, let's not fight. Let's tell us how to get back on track. Yeah. Tell us how to get back on track. Chigo and I, we should also listen to them. That's the best way we shall get back on track. And then we shall all prosper. Then you will not have reason to bury me when you've killed me, when I can't fight anymore. I'm not going to fight with a gun now, but I still have my head. You know, one day, the late Pecos met General Kashaka, and in their discussion, Kashaka told General Pecos that 2 heads are better than one. Then Pecos said, Jerry said, yeah, 2 heads are better than one, except when the second one is yours. So let's put our 2 heads. Let's put our 2 heads. Tell us where we're going wrong. Let's also feel. In Kiswahili say kuhisi. Kuhisi. Let's feel your pain. Let's get to understand each other. Let's not get excited. Like Noop says, for us we are not going to be part of this thing of yours, iPod. But if you are not part of iPod, how shall we know when you are hungry? But I'm suffering from hunger. The man in the kitchen does not know you are hungry. How does he feed you? What you do is come to iPod, grab this ladle and say, don't serve this one, you also give me. When you've given me soup without bread, I say, I also want bread. How come you are giving Rukwago meat and Chikire chicken? Say, treat us fairly. But if you are outside, nobody will listen to you. And this goes for all episodes in political struggle, including the struggle with Besigye. That Besigye should be tried in a court, condemned or absorbed, is a right. It's a right. So why not you? The department falls under you. DPP is under Chwanuka. Yeah. Honestly, keeping a man in jail for 8 months, and you say he's guilty. You've not told us what it is. Tell us. Yes, I know he could be guilty as hell, but for as long as we don't know what he has done or not done, for us as laymen, in the court of public opinion, he's innocent. In the court of public opinion, he's innocent until you present him before us and you tell us what he has done. And the other.
Omushije nagamba. Actually I think atunga time yo kugira ngo nstamina we okunstamina nawe akagamba nkanta katunga gubwire nora ya ubumwe nari yo mukerezia ari yo mukanisa ariko batine time konkara ngambire the man talked yesterday yagira ati abantu nibakora ebyo kurwanisa nibakora ebyo kurwanisa ngo bizenka birwanisa ibikozesibwe bita bya bitakozire kimanyisa ngo nibija kurara bashohoza barabashime kwandi bakora bagenda konka kugira ngo babikozese they create wars kugira ngo ebintebi bigireki bikore mirimo yagamba tanka noshone tuzikora umwihanga yagamba ebimwe biyagamba enyonyezo mu mwanya z'endwani tutukuzikora konka nizigurwa ziri mu mwanya zirimu inaho ziri yagira ati bamwe nitubasa kurema okucetegereza konka nibabasa kuba yareza cyo kureba cyamini akagura emundu zikumara yazibateza ati yakuba amara kubazitenga yasingurwa ati nibo bari muri bazaki nibazishashurira now yagamba ahakigambo cyo kugira ngo twikirizane ekirundi hariho Elias Rukwago omurodi ebine actually aho babiri bari muri Kampala ahanshonga z'amateka norebo wanorebo cyanuka kibyowa kandi ogoryo muhorereza wa government yagamba nienda natunga mu bice kugira ngo ubundi nkagira ukina ashobora uri kutureba niwe noza kongeraho yahindara kugira ati Dr. Kano Kiza Besigye itwe nkabantu nitwija kumanya ngo kandi Dr. Kiza Besigye tayine mushango antiro akwa cottage ni koti y'abantu antiro barije kuletera ngo mu koti akasharirwa akashomerwa bakahoza umushango kamusinga konka before that tino kuturije kukiriza nkabanka koti z'abantu ngo twikirize umushije rwo yineki omushango ukureka nubara abari kubasa kuba yine mishango nangwa yekizibu nkagehena ngo konka atakarugireyo ngo komo muntu myezi 8 batakamugambira ngo yakorese ikigambo n'Imana konka ogu no watire mbundu na nogu kano Dr. Kiza Besigye so nibasa kuba batakwikirizana mu bintu binji konka kukiri kwika justice
yes
you need to be just we need to be just ahanshonga ezikwatana n'ibintu
umushaba murete omumbuga z'amateka babase kubantu bamucwera yayi no mushango tumanye ngo agwino because yagamba enshonga nyamwinji yabanza gamba na nshonga ya iPod omukago nagira tumaze matine ngo kora abase kuba no hurwa nibamanye ikintu cy'kuruma utayizire okakwata umuzindaro ukakigamba ati yo wabasa kuba no rugayo noyeshara iPod kandi ukagaruka kaza aheru yetawuni ukatanika gambira aho ibyo bikutegana so kayizere oyetaba umukago gwa iPod kutwatugamba aho nyuma aho basa kuba no gambe ebyo ebikusasize ebiliyoni bigendo misho na president areba kuko arabase kuba nargayo natungombasi gwebyo bito bigambere yes
exactly so leka tugaruka turebe tutakagire mu kahumuro kace ningira ngo twine endijo ningira ngo nindeba aba EC
bari commission base ngo banerga yiwe nabinji babire mbargayo mbajara ngo mazimanyo natunga kasente ko kwehanikisa niza yunyihandi sasa banaiza kwehanikisa bampasente nyamwinji zo kurondesa karuru ningira ngo agawe ugire umuze w'amasiko biheyo
bagatekamo
baganabi teresumo wanyu babase kubana baganaba electoral commission te kubasa kubanergayo nerekura akasente nangwa nakamwe kurekeze ine nezo ez'abantu bayo abera abenekozesa kugira ngo ibase kubane nerinda ogora base kubana arabaho umukwehandikisa ikibine cya National Unity Platform urwa kabiri kiryonkiza kwehandikisa nago tugina akatubanze turebago aga electoral commission
omugambirizi w'ekitongore eki muchunguzi naga
ngeri kwaba kuimi security police ekuma presidential candidate kamuwe motoka eyo ngeri mu driver eri mama futa eri obana bamukuma natambula nayo eye motoka yabukumi si ya candidate ina candidate takirizibwa kugitambuliramu kati baba ku border emotoka eja kumugoberera ku border bwatambuza bigere emotoka eja kumugoberera ku bigere bwabaira mu bus eja kugoberera bus tikabatanda ba candidate sabo nemwe lipa mu motoka eyo kuba emotoka eyo si yammwe emotoka y'abakuumi kuba candidate muntu mukulu nnyo VVIP era twagala tewabaako kimutuukako kuba ayinza okufuuka president so n'olwekyo obukuumi bubeerawo waliwo abadde balimba abantu nti akakiiko kajja kubawa eriko abakuumi ne driver akakiiko k'ebikonda ke kabaliisa ke kawa allowances ke kabasuza ke kasasula amafuta aga candidate ng'atambula ng'atalaga eggwanga okunoonya akalulu kati oli bw'amala okutuuka ku ntebe ya ssentebe w'akakiiko k'ebyokulonda
kokamere katsime abashiki bitu b'amakuru mwe bari munonga akagiza meya
mwena acheka wamu abukuba electoral commission yarga yacyamya butunu yajangu mazima candidate toshemeye kuba notambura motoka y'abakumi ecyawe yoyerondere motoka watambura mbasi neza kugendaho watambuzabigere neza kugendaho watambahora atambura hagagari nabone bekwine iwe cyawe ecyawe noyerondere sente zawe facilitation boki barakora ba electoral commission mbaza kubambarga yo mazima mbahaka sente kabo ababakumi babo mbabaha facilitation mbabaraza mbabaha sente mweniwe noza kububa nyamwegenda noza kuvaho noza kwefaho
atashaka omukumi okurya anyway rubongo ya ruhisi David yargo yaje ati no harimo cye kubira harimo kwenda kugira buba sonsora harimo kusonsora
yujuka urwa kabiri ekibine cya National Unity Platform kandi twarebaho na Robert Cyaguranya ari kujya munaza kuta urukunganyo mbicwe kapitali mumwe na mwe nk'izakatwe nkahi kwarayize kwihandikisa owe kitongore cya Electoral Commission urwa kabiri ntuza kuba turi ahantu bukusi ahora yifunga isa
datinga ni harimo police na namahe kurugiro ko yaje ati ninyebuza okwamahe gatungire information itwaherize isi amahe gatungire gataninga ebibe kwenda babitungire bata hata no shanga uno najya nti harimo kujabirira nabo kurahuka ku papa ni manyisaki no shanga abari muri babaterera amasimu ninga aba security bari muni bakora actually bakabe ni ba reportinga security ni baje babira omu EC abo kwati nibo bamara kuhandikwa ni baba bazo mu bushobozi actually na hati bari mu bushobozi bwabo bakabe ni ba reporting wa EC abwencaba ni baterera amasimu bakatanga kutinisa bo batungire ekinangizo kureta n'iki no kugira ngo obone nabo ba Luis nashimye kwa yaje yagira ubwira okukireto mu mahurire kugira ngo security erimu ne baterera amasimu ngo emikono yabo tegizireke tekiri hati nibo bashimye kwa nibo baterera
security kureka yagambaje yagira ngo Electoral Commission eri ekeriro kubaha update ebikugendo misho ku enanka
emikono yabo
etahikire kandi yagarka yagamba nshonga cya zaba aba district bagiso bariyo no batinisiriza abahagizi babo ababasi kubana bahemukono ekibine cya National Unity Platform bambuza bwenci mwabahire mukono abwenci no muhe kibine cye mukono so bakiriyo mbabatinatinisiza nibyo bigendo misho konkar bongoya icyata shoborekerwa nicyo kugira ngo Electoral Commission yeste kamugarikire mukonka nawe yakishobora ajya ngo ebahire obwire tuba ebahire neza kubagarika muri bagize ngo shayona eriyo ne combininga
Onesimus tugarurireho rubongo yo kwako nusongo yangira ngo bamwereka ngo emikoro tekiri tugaruzo rubongo
yo nomination candidate honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert. A few minutes ago, today is Friday afternoon, we got information and they are saying that NUP enough signatures, and they are saying that Museveni and a few others submitted the required signatures. Of course, when I saw their list, they are saying that NUP and many others have not yet met the required signatures. We condemn this in an update to tell us whether we have the because we know that we submitted the required signatures, but well knowing how the Electoral Commission behaves and the criminal regime, we know the game to ask them whether actually for NUP. We told you yesterday that DPCs, DSOs and others.
Okay, ekyo cyo twantwenda. Yagamba takatungire ekiricho ku rugomo EC.
Yes.
Hati kibanyisa ngo ebyari munagamba nawe tari confident with them tari sure kugira ngo security tari sure kugira ngo EC erimu negira ngo national unity platform emikono yote ikiri ijuka nkana nabirebera hampaye nyuma tukabishoma na radio kugira ngo basinikire emikono iri kwika mitware 20 emitwaro 20 mazima n'ubuwogira ati
of course nsakongera kureba enshongejo bira bintu bigendo mu bishop course rwa kabiri tuba tuhagarikira hansa ku bantu kwisi yahebe byona bira bintu bigenda mu bishop course akire kakiriyo umwami rubongo yaninjira electoral commission neza kuba nergayo mazima ne mugarika mu mukire kake abo kubo ubwire bwafunda no rwa kabiri igene ahera beneba ne mwetera kugira ngo agende abase kuba naye handi kisakande uko twargaye amakuru gone mingi indebe sha mazima ziriyo zigenda ziriyo zirigita ijuka tutandikira aho muyihangarito rya Uganda tubasa kuba tukuretere bikure byasibabiriye mu cyaro kitu mu district yitu mu state yitu burahamwe tubasa kuba tugenda nangwa tureba mbane ibabe yitu nabo nko kubarire twambuka tuze seri y'amayanja tubasa kuba tukuretera y'amakuru agasiba gariyoko twayambuka seri y'amayanja omwami Trump abase kuba nargayo nawe yabasa kuba ninjira nawe naenda kwetamo mutumo gwa dictator nantagambwaho nantahurwa nantahaburwa nawe ninjira yabatu haburwa bukuba yargayo yagera yati nisinise z'abanyamakuru munaza kukinga television ezikumugamba
huko nikibasa mutaba nantagambwa kwabo kuba waza kwetegereza enshongeji erinegira ngo ariho TV emwe muri America actually yemerize omukozi wayo last night agizira ngo omuntu wafire owatirwe amasasi Charlie owatirwe Robinson Charlie Kirk tikwe ngo akaterwa habwa Trump ngo akabire atatirwe umwene Trump ni washimire kuba nabuzi bwabinji okurema kwereza protection now hato umuntu yagamba nkecho riyare ngo akaterwa habwa Trump ashimire kuba we nakigamba
mwena kari yo nageza aho nore nabwejo ni no kwejo ni sorry mero abo kuba orinkorkushemba ecyamubiro kaba mutera abo kuba Trump tarabase kuba namuhereza ki obukume na kisonore bano
nawo kugambe turiyari nawo kugira ngo naza kuzisiku reka tubihurukize
going to ask Brendan Carr to weigh in on other late night hosts that you have said should be off the air.
Late night host is on network television. There is a licensing. I'll give you an example. I read someplace that the networks were 97% against me. I got 97% negative, and yet I won it easily. I won all 7 swing states, popular, I won everything. And if they're 97% against, they give me only bad publicity or press. I mean, they're getting a license. I would think maybe their license should be taken away. It will be up to Brendan Carr. I think Brendan Carr is outstanding. He's a patriot. He loves our country, and he's a tough guy. So we'll have to see. When you think about this, 97% of the stories are opposed to me, and yet I win easily the election. It's pretty amazing when you think of it. That shows they have no credibility. Go ahead.
I was just going to agree with. I mean, could you use that same logic with news? If someone
in the old days, I remember in the old days that every 4 or 5 years, a network would reapply for its license, and the license is free. You know, they get this valuable thing for free, and they'd reapply for a license. And if they did something wrong, well, I beat George Stephanopoulos, Slopadopoulos, I call him, George Slopadopoulos. They had to pay me $15 million for what he said. I beat CBS for much more money than that, including advertising and other things, much more money, because they totally changed the answer that Kamala gave on a question. I mean, they didn't change it. They took it out and put a different answer in. And they didn't want to go to court with that. That's a tough one to go to court with. So, no, I think that if you remember, years ago, I remember as a kid, they would file, it was a big deal every 4 or 5 years, and I don't know, you don't hold me exact, but it was like 4 or 5 years they'd have to file for a license extension. I don't hear about that. The only one that I've heard even bring it up is Brendan.
Kunkati President mazima wa USA washa kugambira mu bintu bikuyomba. Ati oroshi oba yari yo munyonyi.
Ni aho yabire narga mu yange ya UK yari napimba Air Force One ari kumwihange rya Amerika bahuwe na ga staff cyamukwatira asitareba kamera areba ba revive baje
n'abanyamahurire batuyeho mutuye ati ibyo uruyombo n'uruhurira cyo kureka kirara kinahura no kugira ngo abantu aba bamwe license zabo niza kujya niza kushazibwamo reka kandi ntushaka neza babusha ntushaka tubakushashura sente kurjo kuyagamba ntushaka ne free konkate bamara kwiyaho niho uri kukimanga ngo bigumire tuza handi tuze turumba handi
of course obyo byabikiriya twargayo tuze ahambane babe itabihangira ya Kongo ihangira ya Kongo 1 2 days mazima no hurangu akatabanko ko kakiriyo kagendo misho kibina cya M23 match abirnishatu eno cyabasa kubankirgayo biro kabiri birabir na byo kwezo kwa kashatu mwaka 2013 nubo babasa kubana baragaye no bafominga kibina cya M23 konka kiriyo kiparedinga kiriyo nkireta mahe kitasyamu
konka ebire town yabo now ekirezero obuzibu no bunkenge no kugira ngo ahariho noza kubireba ababo aho twatire kwako ejine ingana emitwaro mushanju amahi aguba no amahe kashanju aguba shikire mu cyayaho now nikigamba kugira ngo amahe kashanju abana batahize mwene abani bagenozi omumahe barimo ni bari recruitinga kubamana kuhunga ba joininga hato mahe kashanjaga harimo already agari ga senior agatari garagari ku rugo mu byaro okwije kuza kutendekwa niyo kujoininga ibono jango abati batanakora government teacher
because iyo cyahwire government yo ringa abukuba bano reba mahenga nga assemblinga hantu omucyange cya Eastern Congo bantu bataho obutebekana omuyangeryo cyo wanu wahura kahindo tafire cyanagamba yajya ngo inste kubasa kubaho business z'abantu bakore mbundu bwira bwashesha
Israel tutunge nanka stama
yes
tutunge stama
Chris. Thank you both. Chris Mason, BBC News. Mr. President, the UK is expected to recognise a Palestinian state in the coming days as the killing in Gaza continues. It often seems that you're the only person that Israel will listen to. What more can you say to them to tell them to stop? And why is the UK's position on a Palestinian state, in your view, wrong? And Prime Minister, what will the recognition of a Palestinian state actually achieve? Is it not just gesture politics to appease people in your own party? Thank you both.
Over the last year, 2 years,